Good morning and happy Moon Day. How are you all doing? Please tell me in the chat if you're here. You can also just comment at Moon Powered Astrology on Facebook and let me know that you were here. You can also see the replay of today at Claudia Thompson, Moon Powered Astrologer on YouTube. Yeah, my shows all live there. And I'm shouting out my appreciation for Debbie and for all of you being here today. We've got quite a week. So I'm wondering how you're feeling with Mercury finally out of shadow on Saturday, but it was kind of a double-edged sword, Venus square Saturn. It really socked me between the eyes. I don't know about you. So, Sunday was a day to just lift myself up and remember what my dreams were and get back on course. I'm thinking about how's your frequency doing, So we're going to raise it right now because ideally we want to stay at 528 and above regarding our Hertz frequency as much as possible because that is the frequency of love. So feel the soles of your feet on the floor. You might be in a 7-pointed lotus position. If so, that's fine too. Feel your sits bones. Feel those 7 points connecting with the earth. And now begin to inhale. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Just notice where the breath is in your body as it comes and goes, and gently close your eyes. Is your belly moving when you breathe, or are you up in your chest? You might put your hands on your belly and welcome the breath into every cell of your body as you breathe in not only air, but literal life force from source, prana. Feel that earth star 3.5 feet below your feet, connecting you to the grounding you to the grid of the earth, and that beautiful sustaining energy of the earth that ever supports you, that your body is a gift from, comes up, wafting up on the inhalation through every cell of your body. From the tips of your toes, through your legs, up through your pelvis, your torso, your chest, your neck, your head, all the way up. And as you exhale, you become aware that the breath has filled you completely to the tips of your fingers. Allow your shoulders to drop away from your ears. Allow your jaw to relax. And on the next inhalation, when you get to the top of your head, in your envisioning, white light pours down through your crown chakra on the exhalation. And now inhale. All the way up. And as you exhale, all the mental thinkety-think drops behind your facial mask on the exhalation, through your throat, through your chest, as you drop into your heart. And the energy from your heart now fills your whole body. And you feel it expand to your upper back and spine, all the way around, releasing any tension in your neck. And the next inhalation, as you exhale and you move into your heart again, see a beautiful rosy pink, the color of rose quartz or rhodochrosite, moving into your heart, filling your heart. And that beautiful pink light of self-love now fills you from head to toe and side to side. Inhale. And as you exhale, this energy moves through your skin, filling the field around you with self-love. Fill your well to overflowing with self-love, self-appreciation. And on the next exhalation, as you drop into your heart, lightly tap your chest, the area between your heart center and your throat, this new chakra that's been developing over the past decades, and say to yourself, I deeply love and appreciate myself. I deeply love and appreciate myself. Inhale. Exhale, drop into your heart, lightly tapping, I deeply love and appreciate myself. Another breath, another exhalation, feeling yourself breathe in and out of your heart now, feeling what it's like to be present, in the present, as the presence, the creator of your life. And open your eyes and come back to be with me. It's wonderful to practice that a few times a day, anytime you wish. And now we're in the last degree of Venus in its home territory of Taurus, earthy Taurus. It's the appreciation of being in a physical body, the appreciation of the natural beauty of the earth and connecting with it. The power of touch and sound. The power of the throat to give voice to our highest expression. So I have the tree of life on, as you see, and that's to remind you that you are the tree of life. And then I have my Starry Night. This is Van Gogh's Starry Night. And as we are in the last day of the last hours actually of the disseminating phase, the harvest phase in the cycle, we're continuing to look back to what we have gleaned from the full moon. What are the gifts and the insights of that full moon that reminds us, having been in Sagittarius, that life is art. To breathe in the beauty of life and appreciate Venus in Taurus, appreciate and savor. So we've got Venus moving into Gemini this week. We've got the solstice tomorrow. And of course, we've got the dancing with the rhythms of the moon. And I'm going to be talking about all of that. By the way, you can always see the replay at Claudia Thompson, Moon-Powered Astrologer on YouTube. And also, you can always find the link if you want a reading. And I have 3 offerings now. Longer reading, full reading that's face-to-face with me. And, via Zoom or whatever the technology is that you prefer. And I also have 2 other readings. One is a lunar discovery reading, and the other is a snapshot session that deals with the urgency of now. So check those out. At this new link, it's a new landing page. Got a few bugs in it. We're working those out, but it's up and ready for me to be able to serve you better. So as we come to the beginning of this week, on Monday, as I mentioned, we're in the disseminating phase, the moon is in Pisces. So it's kind of a dreamy, moody morning as far as, we're not shot out of a cannon. We're out in the ethers with the divine. It's a great time to let your imagination soar. We've got the moon square, square Gemini. And later today, we're going to enter the last quarter phase of the moon. But for now, the disseminating phase is that harvesting phase where we share our insights. We harvest them. We look at what's really true for us now. And that's particularly relevant in the wake of this Sagittarius full moon. And that full moon that harkened back to the total solar eclipse of December 4th when the moon was new in Sagittarius. And we're being really inspired to take a risk somewhere in our lives, because we have this harmonious trine, as it's called, between the planets in Aries, the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter, in Aries. And Sagittarius is a fire sign representing spirit. Aries is a fire sign. So it's lighting your pilot light. It's getting it out there. And Sagittarius tells you that it's time to take a leap of faith. It's one of the big risk takers of the zodiac. So you want to be an informed risk with, a step-by-step kind of laid out plan. But we're in the disseminating phase moon-wise, but we're also in the gibbous phase. And by the way, I taught a master class on Saturday, and it was such fun. We had such fun, and it was on Zoom, so I got to see everybody, and that was wonderful too. So I think that replay may be available as well in the store, later on. But yeah, it was really, really good. It was the first master class that I've done, through technology, not live. So it was a really good kickoff for me. So I appreciate those of you that were there. And those of you that weren't, watch for the next one. It was chock full of good information. Yeah, good insights and tools that you can use to navigate with more grace and ease during this time of chaos and reinvention of the world we live in. So as we move through this day, I mentioned to allow your imagination to soar, to look at the leap of faith that you're called to take in the wake of the full moon. And also look at the connections you've made during this cycle. The Gemini cycle is all about communication, and this week is the wind down of this cycle. We're going to go through 3 phases this week, and I'll be talking about that. So we're going to be going from harvesting the insights to taking stock of our progress, and then regenerating. Now, it's interesting. There's a gentleman who is prominent worldwide for his work with the ley lines of the earth. And he is saying, whereas the solstice, the actual recalibration, so we start to see the darkness grow, so to speak, and we find that sunset is a little earlier. It's usually 3 days, but Rory Duff is saying that the solstice portal is 14 days. So that's really something to think about, and you can look him up to see why he says that. I'm going to take a look myself, but 14 days. So these pivotal portal points, these seasonal shifts, we're again being told to slow down as everything speeds up and our consciousness rises. So at 8:10 p.m. tonight, we enter the last quarter. Now, this may bring some disillusionment as you take stock between your dream, this big dream that you've been asked to craft this year, in 2022, and the reality of how far you've gotten with it. But really, a lot of things are kicking off as we come to tomorrow to 0 degrees of Cancer. That's a point of initiation. So we are initiating. Something's blossoming out of all the work that we've done. And now we're initiating the birth of that. Maybe something you're launching into the world. Maybe something you're preparing to launch. But the birth has just happened. And I often think where you don't just say to a toddler, go out and get a job, or a baby. You look with appreciation and wonder and tap into their ability to do that. And what do they need to be nourished? What do they need to feel taken care of? So we're gonna jump into that next. So the last quarter phase, which we move into tonight, later on the East Coast, but we'll move into that tonight, and we're asked to imagine the possibilities. If you feel a little bit disillusioned or like reality isn't aligned with what you envisioned, what you imagined, reimagine the possibilities so that you can be aligned and so that you are in preparation for the next 6 weeks when we'll be, with the solstice, we will be in the new moon, the full moon phase of the year, of the natural year, for 6 weeks. And then we'll have the new moon next Tuesday in Cancer. So it's like we have the solstice, we have the shift of the seasons, which is a big deal. And then we come to, to the new moon that really kicks it all off. So the solstice itself is at 2:13 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So recalibrate that for your time zone if you're not on the West Coast. And this ushers in the longest, we are in the longest day of the year. So this is the last day of spring. And many of us are already experiencing summer temperatures and climate wherever we are. We know that this is part of a very large cycle this global warming. Yes, there are things that we do to exacerbate it, but it's an ocean cleansing cycle that occurs, I think it's about every 11,000 years or so. So we're in that. And we just need to adapt and stay cool. And so far this summer here in Southern California has been pretty much business as usual. Last year summer started 2 months earlier than what we'd expected. So this year, the earth is ever balancing itself out. And the more we're aware ecologically that this is one earth, one planet, and that, we want to leave the planet better than when we arrived in our own lives if possible. This is something we can focus on. And these seasonal shifts really remind us of these things too. So the solstice tomorrow reminds us that everything is light. And the moon at the time of the solstice is in Aries. It's conjunct Jupiter. So this is how, so this really, again, underscores expanding, taking a risk. What do you want to grow? And, Aries is warrior energy. So Aries can be like a boat coming through the water and, leaving destruction in its wake, or it can be the pioneer that has the other little boats around it that are uplifting its vision and its pioneering journey. So you get to decide which one you're going to be. As we move into the solstice, this is all about motherhood. This is the time of birthing. As I said, it's analogous to the full moon in a natural year. And so how are you mothering yourself? Many of us have voices of criticism, devaluation from our childhood, which oftentimes were projections of our parental influence. Our little bitty egos were so fragile. We get to remother ourselves. And I feel that's one of the first orders of business, which is one of the things the moon guides you to, because the moon signifies your relationship with your mother, as well as many other things. We may see a decision come from the Supreme Court regarding Roe v. Wade. This is one example in the United States of how this emphasis may show up. And, it's just a time to ask yourself how you are mothering your own inner child. Are you playing? Are you having fun? It's summertime. Are you getting out in water? Are you having a water element represented on your altar or in your home? So those are some things for you to think about. A really good mantra is Rama. Rama. This was something that you would see Gandhi in tapes of him. You would see him saying Rama. And there are many mantras with Sanskrit that are longer than that add more words. But Rama means light. And that's what the solstice is all about. How are you manifesting your light in your life? How are you a light-filled mama to yourself? Calming yourself, having compassion. I feel like Kuan Yin is it's a moon goddess, but particularly the full moon. And the full moon is this time of manifestation, culmination, reflection. And so it's a time that can either be, as any full moon, like a tug of war, or like a beautiful mirror of awareness, or both. And Cancer's focus is emotional safety and security. And oftentimes that equates with money. So that reiterates the theme with Venus in the last of Taurus of our financial plan. And if we recognize that we are our greatest resource, that we have an unlimited amount of creative juice within us, if we will tap into it, if we will use our mind and our heart wisely to uplift ourselves and give ourselves credit for being the magnificent humans that we are, for being these beings of light, step down into physical form, walking on the planet. So as we move into the solstice, as I mentioned, Rama is a wonderful thing. Rama, and you can look online and find, Rama Prana, which is the life force. There are various mantras you can do, but just Rama. And I remember when I was first coming across this word and what it means in India. It's the light of the divine. So it's wonderful to drop into your heart, to say Rama, and as you say Rama, to think, I celebrate the joy of the divine light within me. Rama. Yeah. So, your own sense of sovereignty comes up at this time. The divine feminine very much comes up. How are your divine masculine and your divine feminine in balance? This is the opposite of the winter solstice. So something you began at the time of the winter solstice, around the 21st of December, when the spark of light came out of the depth of the dark. The balsamic phase of the year begins on Halloween, and it ends with the natural new moon that's really the natural new year, which is kicked off with the winter solstice. And the light begins to grow. And it's like a seed of light in our consciousness, planted deep in faith and trust in our consciousness for the plan that we want to have unfold over the coming year. And then we went through the vision in Aquarius, the dream, the reminder that we're spirit having a human experience, and what we are leaving behind, the endings, as we came to spring and the Aries cycle, which presented bold and daring ideas and asked us what we wanted to pioneer, and what the support system was that we were going to build to sustain our solstice intentions as we go forward. And then we came to the Taurus cycle, which was about putting the resources and the grounding underneath the ideas that are viable, because in Aries we have a lot of wonderful ideas flood towards us, but which ones are we going to take first? Which step? So it's next step, having the patience to build solidly and in a grounded way. And then we came to the Gemini cycle, which is what we're winding down now. And that brought a lot of social activity, but also communication, all forms of communication, so that we can connect with those who will help support our visions and our big dream, as well as our smaller dreams of wonderful relationships and home and family. And home and family are the big foci of the sun in Cancer and the moon in Cancer. And so it reminds us that you cannot draw from an empty well. And oftentimes, people who have a lot of Cancer energy feel very comfortable when they're nurturing everybody else, but they forget to fill their own well. It's no accident that the disease of the 20th century, cancer, is named after this sign of the zodiac. I always feel that one of the big components of a Cancer experience is looking at where the lack of self-nourishment emotionally is occurring. Cancer is a water sign. It's one of the most emotional signs of the zodiac. And so using the phases of the moon, setting your intentions, following along really helps, because it helps you harness the emotional energy into feelings so that you can move into a higher frequency, move the boogeymen out of the way that sidetrack you and sabotage you emotionally, and utilize that energy in a new way to manifest what you desire. And so you get to look now at what you have manifested. Have your emotions sidetracked you? Have you been following the phases and cycles of the moon to harness this energy? After all, we're 80% water, and we come into the time of year when it's all about water, when the moon and sun are in Cancer. And so moon's not there yet, but it will be. It will be soon. So, write down, do some writing at the time of the solstice. What does it mean for you to have a light-filled life? How are you doing with your own recognition that that's what you are? Are you a lighthouse lighting your own path? And first light your own path. Fill your own well to overflowing. A lot of us don't even know what that would feel like. So that's a really good time to pause. That's a good thing to pause on and reflect on. What does it feel like to have my well full to overflowing, so that no one ever draws from my essential energy, but I give from my overflow, and therefore I'm always full. I always have enough reserves. And how do you take care of your emotions? What's your program of sacred self-care for yourself? Light a candle do something to celebrate. It's a time of celebration. It's a time of recalibration as well. And so we are in the waning part of the cycle, and we are entering the waning half of the year, and it reminds us to take the time to wind down. We live in a very go, go, go construct that keeps us distracted and oftentimes keeps us, enervated, just keeps us so tired. The Earth's core is being repatterned. Our very DNA is being repatterned. And so this takes time for this to happen. And if we were living in an ancient culture, then we would then we would be celebrating this for a longer time. We would have moved into the whole culture being dedicated to a celebration of this shifting of the seasons. So remember that, and allow that celebration of the light that you are and the light in your life and those who contribute to that light-filled life, and celebrate. So I want to move forward toward so on Tuesday as well, as I mentioned, the moon is shifting and we're realigning. And with the last quarter, you always get an opportunity to get a new attitude. It's a great Pointer Sisters song, Get a New Attitude. It's perfect for the last quarter phase. When you shift your consciousness, when you realign your consciousness to get on board with what you want to create, this is extremely creative energy. It's the energy of the mother. It's the energy of birthing. And you can kind of look at the last 6 months like that 9 months of gestation that a mother goes through before a baby is born. And so now the birth is happening. And so sometimes this is when we really get clarity around what we've been creating and what we really want to put our energy behind. So as we move through, looking at my notes here. Oh, I wanted to mention the Venus Wisdom website, Venus Wisdom. And it talks all about Venus, which is wonderful, but it also has a solstice celebration going on tomorrow online. So you can go to Venus Wisdom and sign up for that if you want to do an online celebration. It should be a lot of fun. I've signed up for it. I want to see what it's all about. Because Venus and the moon, Venus and the earth are definitely all related. And, it's important to celebrate the beauty of you, because you're unique by divine design in the whole universe. Your astrology shows you that. So as we move into, more into tomorrow, remember that in the southern hemisphere, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're entering winter. So I'm talking about the summer solstice, and that's the northern hemisphere. And so meditation, celebration, looking back to 6 months ago, honoring yourself for all you've accomplished. This has been a year of big shift and change. We went through the 2 years of the COVID lockdown stuff. And now, how have we recalibrated? How are we reinventing ourselves and our lives? It's big stuff. So that last bit of Venus in Taurus reminds you to have patience, to take time, to allow yourself to really savor and enjoy each step on your journey, and be willing to take a risk and a leap of faith. So as I mentioned, also tomorrow's going to feel good. We've got the moon conjunct Jupiter in Aries, and that brings opportunity and feel good and uplifting, and really puts the wind beneath our wings as far as having an adventure, taking that leap of faith. And on Wednesday, the moon takes charge as the moon comes to unite with Mars. So it takes charge and encourages bold action on Wednesday. So, out of what you allowed yourself to experience and the insights that you received with that spark of the solstice, then you have the energy to really look at how you're going to move forward on those. So if you have misguided concepts around your childhood also, that's a good day when you may feel them come up. They may get energized. Remember, wherever Mars goes, energy flows. And you may feel them come up, but also you have that fire of spirit to move them out, to be aware of them, and to look at how can I remother myself, not in my own mother's image, but in the image of the mother that I always have needed and knew I could be. Not disregarding the importance of our mothers in our lives, but knowing that ultimately it's our responsibility to give ourselves that perfect mama energy that really treats our inner child with honor and respect and value. So Venus moves into Gemini on Wednesday at 5:34 p.m. Love, love, love. Yeah, well, in Gemini, the mood definitely shifts as far as Venus goes, but it encourages communication. Venus has to do with beauty and grace, how we attract what we need. It's very magnetic. And it also has to do with what brings us pleasure. And in Gemini, it reminds us that variety is the spice of life. So if you have a Gemini ascendant or Gemini in the 7th house or the 5th house, or the sun or moon in Gemini, then the next 4 weeks, keep those beautiful eyes open, and love is on your agenda. It's on, it's on your horizon. So it has to do with communication and mental stimulation and finding those people who provide that and share that with you. So it also reminds us to have a loving mind. Goes back to what I was just saying about mothering ourselves well. To have a mind that has a loving consciousness. It's a really good thing as we'll be in the last quarter phase at this point. And taking stock of the whole cycle, which has been about communication. And because Mercury was retrograde, as it all began, it's reminding you that your self-talk is everything. You're a creator. And your self-talk is creating your world and your experience in that world. So how can you bring compassionate communication more and more into your world? How can you drop into your heart more to meld mind and heart, Venus in Gemini, so that you speak lovingly, so that you speak from a loving consciousness? And as I mentioned, it really puts a variety of opportunities for love in your life. And, if you're looking for a partner or you want a partner, this is a great time to do some work and really look at what that means. There's a great exercise to attract relationship. And, that's one of the things, if you want to get in touch with me, with a snapshot session that I can deal with, because there are things you can do to help relationships come in. And with Venus in Gemini, it's funny because it's a mental construct. But again, so the trick is to do the heart drop and see the mind and the heart, to see the highway between the mind and the heart, and to remember to listen with your heart, to listen with your ears, and to respond in kind. People will tell you exactly where they are if you really listen with your heart. And then as the day goes on, you can accomplish something tangible in the evening. If you're on the West Coast, or if it's really late, if you're on the East Coast, it'll be a good time to set an intention, to visualize one thing that you either want an answer to or that you'd like to accomplish before you drift off to sleep. It's a Wednesday, good for programming your sleep. And then Thursday, the moon moves into earthy, resourceful Taurus at 4:58 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So as we go through the day, as we wake up in the morning on the West Coast, the moon will be in Taurus. It will have shifted from fiery Aries to grounded, earthy, deliberate Taurus. reminding us to savor life, reminding us of some of the things that I've already said. So keep that loving self-talk and higher frequency of the heart going, because the day could present some conflicts with the aspects that are going on. Hi, from Denmark. Oh my gosh. Hello. Wow. Wow. And blessings to you. Love and light to you. Perfect. Rama. Yes. So as people checking in, makes me feel so good when you check in, right? Yeah. And, share me. Let people know about me. I'm at a point in life, I don't want to be the best kept secret anymore. I want people to know about me, and I want to know how my insights and tools help you navigate these times. That's my goal. It's so important. And if it's also a time as we're moving into Thursday with this moon in Taurus to look at those longer term goals. And as I said, might be a day where there's some gnarly energy, some conflicting energy, things being changeable, but stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. Even though Venus has moved on into Gemini, it's still the ruler of that Taurus moon. And when the moon's moving through Taurus and moves toward Uranus, sudden insights and ahas and also sudden changes can happen. So if you have a serious Taurus energy, that's not very comfortable oftentimes, but it's part of what's moving us out of our intractability and our stuckness into forward movement in this amazing time of awakening. So on Friday, you may find yourself second guessing yourself. Remember to drop into your heart, to love yourself. Continue working with your heart and trusting your values and your self-worth, and not letting other people's, whatever they're going through, throw you off track from what you know to be true for you. And then on Saturday at 5:09 p.m., so late in the day here on the West Coast, Pacific Daylight Time, we enter the balsamic phase. So again, we're winding down and building up toward that new moon. And so this is the time when we glean the wisdom from the whole cycle, and we reflect and we regenerate our energy for this next go round, for this incredible shift in seasons that's occurring, both inside and out. And so you want to take time. As I mentioned, our very DNA is being repatterned. For those of you who are really reaching in consciousness, you might find that you are more tired. And it's funny, it's like we're in this huge time of shift and change where what we are as a human life form is changing. And yet we expect things to be business as usual. We expect our biorhythms and our bodies to just continue as usual. But we are being bombarded with light, and it is bringing up the light within us, and a lot of very enervating, a lot of energy being called upon in us. And so oftentimes we find, especially during the balsamic phase, that we need to go to bed earlier. We need to meditate or take a nap a couple times a day. Honor your rhythms. Honor your energy. You're the creator of your world. You get to control your narrative. And that's what this Gemini cycle has really been reminding you about, that you are the creator of your reality. Change your mind, change your life. And the way that you communicate and those you connect with are a direct reflection of where your frequency is and the message that your vibration is literally putting out into the world. So on Saturday, you may find that you have some creative solutions to problems coming through. It's a quiet day, aspect-wise, perfect, as we move through the last part of the last quarter phase into the balsamic phase, and we're in this big turning of the year. And then, Sunday's the day that there are no aspects, and it's very quiet. And the moon is in Gemini. Let me see, when does it move into? Yes, the moon moves into Gemini at 4:13 p.m. on Saturday and later on the East Coast. So on Sunday, the Gemini moon supports reading, writing, chatting, especially with that new entry of Venus into Gemini. So it's a good day to kick back and to really assimilate, to really look at the wisdom that you have, that you've come across over this past cycle, how you've used it. Did you breathe? Did you incorporate more awareness of the breath into your life, knowing that to live fully, you have to breathe fully? What new connections have you established? What new ideas have come to you that you've been putting communication behind and sharing? Finding that support system. So that's the week. Yeah, that's what's going on this week with Venus moving into Gemini, Mercury out of shadow, but still in its home sign of Gemini. Yeah. So, you've got a loving mind, Mercury, Gemini ruled by Mercury, and Venus there talks about a loving consciousness. How can your consciousness be more loving? How can your self-talk really be self-loving? It'll be reflected in your world, and it'll be reflected in your relationships. So just remember that. Not always easy terrain. After all, the old concepts are collapsing, and that means that a lot of our old concepts are collapsing. But if you drop into your heart and you come into the present moment and just, feel your feet, count forms if you have trouble with the nervous system aspect of Gemini. Counting forms means you just begin with what's right around you, like that picture's 1, the other picture's 2, the headboard is 3, and you just move through counting forms as you breathe and drop into your heart and become present, in the present, as the presence that is the truth of your being. I love you to the moon, as always. You can find me on YouTube at Claudia Thompson, Moon Powered Astrologer. You can find me on Facebook at Moon Powered Astrology. You've seen the link for a reading, and it's in all these places on Facebook and on YouTube. And the replay, as I said, of the masterclass, I think will be available toward the end of the week, and then it will appear probably next week sometime in the store. Those of you who attended the masterclass will automatically get the replay. But I just wish you a fabulous week, and I encourage you to celebrate the joy of the divine light within you. Rama, I love you to the moon and way beyond.